don't get hacked, call me for help. Don't get hacked, call me for help. So, yeah, how do you like the YouTube, my prestigious award in the background? YouTube lights, amazing, and thank you. It's because I have over 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and over 4,000 watch hours. So, if you've noticed, maybe you haven't noticed, but you should be noticing, I'm doing more lives, and I'm uploading shorts. So if you can leave comments on my channel, on this video, just go and, number one, subscribe. Number two, leave comments, because we've been chatting about Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades recently. I've had some comments about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm just giving you my experience with Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades. Some of you subscribers to my channel may be more nerdy and may know more ins and outs about upgrading from Windows 10 to 11. All I know is my experience and the YouTube videos I've watched. So thank you for leaving comments. I have responded to a few of them. I don't believe my focus has been my experience with Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades, and the minimum requirement I believe you need to have is a BIOS that supports UEFI, because Windows 11 requires secure boot. I've been told in my comments I'm wrong about that. I would love to have a further conversation and for you to prove me wrong about that, but that's just my experience with Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades. And the challenge I've had with dealing with other people in the industry, right? Because I'm what you would call an MSP, Managed Service Provider. So that's when I have clients on contracts, monthly contracts, and I'm giving them technology support, typically 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My clients are all over the world. I have clients in Canada, USA, Europe, Middle East, and they just reach out to say, hey, I'm having my local guy is having a problem with this, or my website person is having a problem with this, or my WordPress person, or my email person, and then I will go and do a secondary or a third-party audit on what is currently being prescribed for a business and give my 2 cents. That's typically it's best. I tell people when they're looking to do something in their technology, always get 3 opinions, get 3 budgets, because the guy at the local computer store may have a better price than myself. I consider myself level 2, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 tech support. So you can always find somebody really cheap who's gonna, fix your computer for $20. And that might suffice for you in that moment. But I find a lot of computer guys say, hey, your computer doesn't support Windows 10, just go buy a Windows 11 computer. And that may be great advice for that particular user, but what I'm finding in the industry, in the multiple markets that we deal with, the Canadian market, the American market, the Middle Eastern market, is a lot of people are price sensitive these days, and they don't want to go buy a brand new computer. And hence, I've been suggesting, hey, if you have a 2014 or newer computer, you can literally upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11 without buying a new computer. There's less cost involved to do an upgrade, but it just depends on your situation. If you're comfortable running Windows 11 on older hardware, sometimes there's glitches, sometimes there's error messages, sometimes Microsoft's still going to nag you and say, hey, we see you're running Windows 11, but your Intel processor, your Intel i7 processor, there's still going to be potentially error messages about certain things that you're trying to do just because you are running Windows 11 on older hardware. You were able to get around that those upgrade requirements, and you're running Windows 11, but results and performance will vary, because you could technically run Windows 11 on a mechanical spinning hard drive, but I would not recommend doing that. I would always recommend running any modern operating system, Windows 10, Windows 11, on a solid state, because time is precious and time is money. And but there's a ton of computers out there still. Like, you can go buy cheap computers these days with an Intel Celeron processor on, like eBay or Amazon or Best Buy's website or whatever, and they're still coming with mechanical spinning hard drives. I think that's atrocious. I know you can do GPT formatting on mechanical spinning hard drive. You can turn on secure boot. You can boot off a mechanical spinning drive, but that is going to be so terribly slow. So I'm just saying, my experience that I've been sharing on the lives is that I've got a few different ways to upgrade unsupported Windows 10 hardware to Windows 11. In the comment, you were telling me there's other ways. That's great if you've discovered other ways. I do what I know works, so that way when I walk into a client's business, I can say, hey, we can have you upgraded to Windows 11 overnight. If you're already on a solid state, we can do it. If you're on a mechanical spinning hard drive, I'm still going to recommend that you clone that mechanical hard drive to a solid state and then do the tricks to upgrade to Windows 11, just because if I'm going to be charging you for this upgrade, I want you to have the best experience. And I want you to see that there's a performance boost on your computer. But that's me as a professional computer and technology consultant saying, hey, I'll do this upgrade for you, but I want you to have a really good experience. So let me know what you think, because when we're quoting clients to upgrade them to Windows 11, typically the costs, if they already have a solid state, like 2-3 hours of labor is going to be $500. So we're typically quoting it for like $600 to $700, and that's if we're including a solid state. I know some computer guys do it way cheaper, and some charge a lot more. I think I'm kind of in the middle for pricing in North America, Canada, USA pricing. This is not European pricing. This is not Middle Eastern pricing. Anyway, so that's that. But there's going to be more. There's going to be more. This idea of upgrading a computer operating system, it's not for the faint of heart, because we've done a couple this week in Canada, and all the end users are like, hey, my start menu. I'm like, there's going to be a couple changes you're going to notice. Your start menu is going to move from the left of the screen to the center of the screen. You can always move it back. The start menu looks different. Control panel's the same. PC settings look like there's just certain things, and I try to condition the end user to say, hey, there's going to be changes that you notice, but I wouldn't get too worked up about it, and I want you to test it for like, a week, a month, and just make notes of things that you don't want. You either love about it or you hate about it, and we can remotely tweak them. For example, there was a HP all-in-one I upgraded. It was 2018 i7 processor, but the i7 processor wasn't compatible with Windows 11 for whatever reason. So I did my normal process where I cloned the hard drive, the mechanical spinning drive. The mechanical spinning drive passed the Windows 11 assessment, but the i7 processor didn't. It's total bullshit. But I still had an issue with the upgrade to Windows 11 because of the vast antivirus that was on the computer. But the customer had already mentioned she didn't want to use the VAST going forward, and she was going to take my recommendation. And I suggested that we use WebRoot Secure Anywhere. It's now Open Text Secure Anywhere. I know I'm going to get trolled for saying I like that one, because a lot of people there's so many different cybersecurity antivirus products out there that you can use, but I've never ever had anybody get hacked using WebRoot. It detects all viruses, it detects it detects all abnormalities with the computer. And I've never had it brick a computer. Sentinel-1 has brick computers. A lot of the antivirus products out there are nightmares. I've had nightmare issues with I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've been using so many different antivirus and cybersecurity, and like I've had malware bites per computer. It's just you don't know, like just from bad false positives or whatever, right? Or updates that they push out. So there's always going to be so many environmental variables that affect the consulting and the recommendations that you give to people. So what works for one customer may not work for another customer, and that's what we got to realize as professionals is that, hey, I tell all my customers, you know, if you don't like what we do for you, we'll give you a refund, or we'll apply what you've paid towards plan B or plan C, because I always have typically 3 plans for a customer when I meet them, and they've discussed their problems or their, you know, there's always lies out there in the software upgrade world, like you can't upgrade a computer from Windows 10 to 11. Bullshit. You know, go high levels, great website software. Bullshit. ClickFunnels is great file software. Bullshit. Backup softwares are 100% reliable and not unpredictable. Bullshit. There's all like technology comes and technology goes, and there's always going to be environmental variables that affect how you deploy certain situations and handle certain situations. So you just got to get over that as a consultant. Not everything works 100% great every time. Customers may say yes one day, no the next day, and you either have to convince them otherwise or just roll with it because there was some environmental variable that screwed something up and made communication more challenging. So anyway, the Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades we did this week went relatively flawless. The customers are happy. They were all thrown off a little bit with the environmental change, but as soon as they can open up their separate accounting, Word, Excel, their email, they can print properly. Usually their initial shock and awe on an upgrade goes away, and then you're like, hey, test it out for a week and let me know. I can always remote in and fix anything. And that happens maybe 25% of the time, because you always need to know what the customer's expecting and the outcome that they're expecting. And typically when you're dealing with hardware and software, like there's gonna be changes or something different in the environment that you didn't plan for and they didn't plan for and you weren't aware of, and they didn't bring it up until a month later or 2 months later. I joked about this with a customer when I was on site doing their invoice, and I'm like, do you want your brand new customer, do you want your invoice under your business name or your personal name? And they almost always say personal name, and I'm like, are you sure you're not going to be writing off this computer service on your corporate taxes? Are you sure? Are you 100% sure you don't need it? And then they're like, no, I just need it on the personal. Just send it to me personal. Anybody I deal with who says they run a business, they got a corporation in the U.S., Canada, wherever, of course their corporation name's not going to match your personal name. So, but you know, that's the question I asked them. I'm like, hey, whose name do you want your invoice? I have that this week. Which name do you want your invoice under? And they said personal name. And I'm like, are you sure you're not going to be using this for taxes? And you can write it off under the corporation as opposed to your personal, whatever. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm upfront asking, hey, I know what goes on with people. They're super busy, they're not paying attention, and they're all, you know, I always want to be there. I tell people, if you don't like the work we do, you'll get refunded, or we'll put that money towards a different project or a different solution, or give you a couple months complimentary service if you think the pricing was too high or there's miscommunication. I've got employees I got to deal with, and sometimes employees don't talk to the customers the same way you as a business owner are talking to customers. So there's always going to be miscommunication. Something goes awry or sideways, or somebody gets their feelings hurt, or you promised an upgrade was going to take 5 hours, it took 10 hours. But that customer should know or should understand that if they see you pushing through and dealing with all the challenges that come up and answering their questions as best as you can, etc., 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 that you're worth the time that they invested into that relationship and to get you, and they need to let you you'll do what you do. It's your wheelhouse. You're the best. They chose you to do that project because they believe that you can do that project. So always leave customers with a better outcome than they were expecting, and then ask for the review, because that's what I asked for this week. I asked for reviews and I got more Google reviews, but it was, asking questions, providing realistic outcomes, and saying, hey, your stuff supports Windows 11. I know Microsoft just says no. This is why Microsoft says that your computer doesn't support Windows 11, but I'm going to prove to you it does. And if you don't like the solution I'm going to give you, we can always, as long as we clone the hard drive from a traditional spinning hard drive to a solid state before we take you from Windows 10 to Windows, as long as we got a backup. This is why I clone hard drives before I do any type of software change, whether or not it's Microsoft Office upgrade or a QuickBooks upgrade, or if I'm making a major change in your user interface. I want to make sure we have a way that if we clone your hard drive and add an extra $100, $200 to the invoice just between cloning it and the labor, we know we can always put the old hard drive back into the computer, and the computer still keeps working the way it's supposed to. So, or if we don't have that, we can't go back. And then they're going to be disappointed, saying, hey, you told me Windows 11 was going to be great on my computer's going to be faster on solid state. I don't like it. Let's go back to my mechanical spinning hard drive on Windows 10. And you're like, fine. Unplug the SATA data cable, unplug the power cable for the hard drive, put the old stuff in, let them use the old environment until they come to their senses and smarten up. So, if you've got any more comments about Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrades and your experience with doing that type of upgrade, let me know, because as I said before, as far as I'm concerned, your motherboard has to support secure boots, and that's available under a UEFI supported BIOS, which came out in 2014. But if I'm wrong, please prove me wrong. Leave a comment, and most important, subscribe to this channel. And I want to talk about another situation about a Windows 11, brand new, about a different situation that I was working on today. But I think it'll be best for a live tomorrow, because I don't want to I don't want to change topics on these lives. And anyway, I'm trying not to fall asleep, but you can see my eyes opening and closing. It is 11 p.m. here, and I've been up since like 6 a.m. so I gotta go to bed. But subscribe to my channel if you're new, and leave a comment, and I'll see you tomorrow on a live stream. And maybe a live stream our drive from Idaho into Utah. We're gonna drive to Salt Lake City tomorrow. It's like 2 hours from here. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye.